contribute to?
Yep.
Third one down. Learn, then study. And on the left.
Learn, study, and then on my left, you said it's the third one down?
Right, studies I contribute to.
I don't see it. I see it says Italian Dragon.
If you see studies I contribute to,
I got it. There it is.
if you find it, then you want to do the one that doesn't say that. You want to find the one that says, what is it called? I just told you, the Introduction to Chess Post Rules.
Okay, I see there's a bunch of stuff. Which one?
Well, click in there so that I can see you're live. I don't see you're not in there yet. There you go. All right. And then it should drag you to board number 52. Make sure that right below the white rook in the board, below the white rook, make sure the sync, S-Y-N-C, is check marked.
Yes, it is.
All right, you found it. All right. All right,
What's the overall class called?
I don't know what you mean.
I found it. I got it. Sorry.
Okay, so, yep. And so today we're going to change our lesson title because I'm going to do positional considerations next week then. And what I'm going to change this one to will be how we think, right? Because we're going to be exploring that together to get an idea of how we think. How we think differently.
It's a scary thing to get inside my mind.
Yeah, I don't. That's a dangerous place to go, but I thought we'd take a risk. All right, guys. So we're going to start right away, and for my viewers, I'll just reiterate what we're doing, which is something different today. We're testing because I've been reading Jeremy Silman's book, The Amateur Mind. We're going to have Keith play. What would you like to play, Keith? White or black?
I'll choose white.
All right, so everybody, Murph will play white. If Irving shows up, we'll get him to play white. Otherwise, I'll switch and I'll play white. We're going to have Keith discuss out loud his thoughts throughout. That's all he has to do. We want him to discuss his thoughts throughout. I'm going to actually see if I can capture any pertinent details that he says. I'm going to try to do some note-taking while we're playing. So hopefully I can handle it. Keith, game. All right. So I'm going to try to glean things from the way you talk. So I'm not going to critique you. I'm not going to talk about whatever you say. I'm going to just let you ramble on. Please talk during my moves too, unless you don't think during my moves. All right. So when it's my turn to go, I'm not going to move super fast. I'm going to give it some time as if it's a real game. And I want you to hopefully think during my time. And if you do, go ahead and think out loud. Don't worry. I won't use it against you. I might even make bad moves on purpose so that you can take advantage of them. So don't have the halo effect where you think, oh, well, Marty wouldn't have made that move unless it's a good move. It's a trap. I'm not going to fall for it. I might give you free candy to see if you are actually paying attention and you take the free candy. All right? So just play the board. You're not playing me. Just imagine you're playing somebody you don't know, and you joined the Elite Chess game, and it's a new game. Fair enough?
All right, so if that's fair enough. If that's the case, the game goes ding, and okay, I'm ready to start.
All right, go ahead and start.
First thing I think about, is I peek at the rating. I always do that. I shouldn't, but I do. And then I make my first move as white. I always do this because that's the way I start. I know that's something. And the reason I do that is because I'm clearing a lane for my bishop and I'm clearing a lane for my queen at most. So I'm starting to think development early. And also bonus, it's a center pawn. It's my opening. It's probably the most common opening everybody sees. But that's the opening that I chose. I know that friends of mine, like Murph, like to do the Dutch, and this and the that. All right. When I see somebody not follow up and the same move, like they put the pawn in front of my pawn, I start thinking, all right, this guy's not playing the normal game. Maybe he or she is not that good. To me, if I saw this move in a real game, I would say to myself, that's a bad move. So I would continue doing what I normally do, which would be to just continue and not even think about what that move means. Because that move to me just means that's a bad move. I'm going to continue doing my thing. So I'm going to take the other, what do you call it, center pawn. Now, my thinking when I'm doing that is I'm going to come out and with my knights and protect both of those pawns. Unless he does something totally crazy. So right now, I'm feeling good. And that would throw me off a little bit, because that to me would be like, hey, what are they doing here, man? What are they doing? So at this point, nothing is being threatened. Nothing is being threatened at all. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe I can get my bishop out here. But principles would always tell me, knight before bishop. So I would think about it for a second or two, and I would just keep up with my game plan. So I want to take the horse for my queen side, because that's the one that takes longer to develop. So boom, there's what I would do. Now, what I'm thinking the whole time is development. That's what I'm thinking at this point of the game. I'm not worried about his terrible moves. I know my opportunities will come if I develop. I'll be able to gain material, and I'm just willing to develop and not give anything away for free. Okay, so that would trip me up a little bit. I would say to myself, hey, I don't want to give that up. I don't normally, I know that if I take, I'm going to be taken back, and that's just an exchange of pawns. The king would be open. I could come back with a check. And I took back with a check. If I took, and then he took, and there would be a check. I mean, I could check with the queen. I would also have a nice line going towards the queen, towards the king. So, and normally I don't like to make exchanges in the middle with pawns. I normally don't. But in this scenario, I would probably take that pawn to gain the tempo, and that's what I would do. If he decides to take me, I'm going to put him in check. And if I do that, he's going to have to think about the possibility of protecting his king, or messing up his chances of castling, maybe. I just thought of something else. gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and say, well, if I use the bishop to put him in check, he's just gonna put the pawn in there and run him away, and he's gonna have the knight to protect. I also have a situation where that pawn right there is on that white line, and there's an open rook there. So if I can get to that spot and take that pawn, I have a shot to get a rook. But in this case, I'm going to run him out, and I pretty much think that he'd probably put the bishop in front, which would be kind of a development. But I'm going to do it anyhow. I still have free candy, by the way, just so you know I didn't miss that. That free candy's not going anywhere because he's got to do something about that king. Well, I don't have free candy because of queen, excuse me. Yeah, that's what I kind of thought he would do. Now I'm thinking to myself, all right, Keith, you can develop queenside here with one more move. It's where I want to put the bishop right now. So his bishop is kind of has to stay there. So I want to figure out a nice little attack spot for it, and also to be able to protect it. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, Keith, you're still in your development phase here. If you go here, it's kind of out in the open. That pawn can come down, but no, the pawn can come down to protect. So at that point, I'm just gonna go with my just gonna go with the idea of gosh, taking too long. I think I'm gonna go with the idea of just. Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna move my bishop to a spot. The only problem is what spot. And I'm thinking here because I didn't want to put in front of the queen because that messes everything up. He still can't move his bishop anywhere. But now, right now, my next move right here, nothing gets too crazy, would be a castle. And I have two pieces developed. He has one pinned, but still, I don't know if anybody would consider that developed or not. But I don't think so. But all right, so he put himself out there. Now I'm looking. What can his knight do right now? His knight could land here. I would just, I could trade. Let's see here. If I took the pawn, queen would just take me off. So we're gonna go with the castle. Now I feel good because I'm castled. My pieces have free reign here. I'm thinking about getting my rooks talking to each other. I can still move pieces around. I could double up on the. I can actually double up with my rook here. I can move him over, and I can have a straight attack on the on the king. So I'm feeling good. I'm wondering what my opponent will do. He doesn't really have a lot of good spaces for his bishop. Then we can't move it anyhow. He could castle. And if he does that, I'm just going to continue with moving my pieces forward in a development manner. Okay, so he castled, which was kind of what I thought. Now I'm looking at the board and I'm thinking to myself, if I decide to move my rook over, my queen can get over there, and if the queen takes my queen, I could take it back with the rook, but that just doesn't seem to me that that's going to do me a heck of a lot of good. I will have a rook on the 7, which is kind of fun to have every once in a while. So I have to start thinking about just keep on developing my pieces. So I'm going to develop my knight with the hope to get to that key spot there. Now I'm thinking, I can get him right up there. I can get him in the middle, and it'd be really difficult for him to get me out of that square. That's really a good square for a knight. I still, my queen and my bishop are kind of lined up where my bishop is not really getting into the game yet. Thinking maybe Finchetto it, or maybe just leave it like that and get a line attack if I could somehow figure out how to get that pawn out of the way. Alright, so now he's got that going on. Alright, interesting thing here. I mean, I could use my queen, threaten the rook, come back over, but now that would be a miscount. Or I could use my knight, like I said, thinking that I could somehow get some kind of a fork going on. So if I move, my knight, he can't even use his pawn to come and get me there, so he's going to stay there. And that's where I want my knight. Because he's not really doing much to really scare me into anything. And that's what I'm going to do. So, depending on what my opponent decides they want to do, I'm looking at somehow maybe getting in there, or I'm moving my queen to get the bishop ready to go, and my rook's talking, and I'm not really worried about any attacks that are coming my way, because he really only has two open pieces. He's got the knight. Alright, so I see his pawn storming me over there. Okay, so let's see here. What would I want to do? I think at this point there would be no risk for me moving said queen out there to that spot, but I'm looking around, seeing what possibilities would happen with that. If that would even gain me anything. I wouldn't be able to put him here because the knight is protecting. I see right here, but I want to do something with that.
You can actually draw on the board, Keith. You can draw arrows. You can right click and do circles.
Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Can I
take it back? Yeah, take it back. But you can draw arrows. So feel free to do other things to let us know when you're saying, oh, I would go here, I would go there. Feel free to say like, oh, I could go here, I can, whatever you're thinking. It'll just help us understand.
I don't even know how to draw an arrow.
Oh, that's what I was trying to tell you. So you can right click and drag, and it becomes an arrow. Mm-hmm. Do you have a mouse, or are you using something else?
Yeah, okay, I got you. Alright, so okay, alright, so basically I'm thinking, this is not doing me so good, so well, but at this point I want to move my queen here because that gets, no wait, I don't want to do that yet. Okay, let's see here. What was my thought there? Actually, I wanted to, my ultimate goal would be to get him there, because then I can attack that rook or move him around there, maybe fork my guy with a horse. Oh, where was this guy? Okay. So in order to do that, I'd have to move my queen somewhere. Also, I'm thinking, my queen could be relevant here, going into there. Okay, click. So, all right, Keith, start thinking faster. I mean, if he went there, I couldn't take him anyhow. Because if I'm thinking about, right click, Keith. If I'm thinking about here, you just move the pawn up. You'd have the knight protecting it. I certainly want to get that guy out. And I think at this point, since I've had all this time to think about it, if I move this pawn up here, just in a protecting position, I can come back with the bishop, and I could triple up on this guy, which is what I really want to do. So is it two spaces of one? I'm going to go one, obviously, because I don't want to give him free candy. So there I go. So now I'm thinking to move my bishop here and attack there. And he comes back and attacks me. I'll have enough on that. Okay, so checks, captures, and attack. Right now I'm just looking at possibilities of checks and maybe possible captures. I know got a good line there. Now this guy's protected, but I wouldn't mind just taking him off. He's in a good spot, and I'm still protecting the pawn. And if he does that, I'll just take his queen. So yeah, I'm gonna take his knight and see if he'll bite. believe that would be free candy, right? All right, now my knight's being threatened, so I have to deal with the fact that he is being threatened. So I could lose him. But what can I do? Can I interpose? Can I attack something of greater value? Or do I run away? I think what I wanted to, and what I wanted to do, but didn't. I can't move him here, can't move him there. Don't want to lose tempo. I want to see if I can attack something of greater value. And, at this point, I have no other choice but to retreat back to this spot, which is a comfortable spot, and that's what I'm going to do. The plan is foiled. Oh. What did I do that with? I really need to get my glasses fixed. Let me see. Oh, gosh, can you fix that?
Yeah.
All right, great. I'm sorry. I wanted to see what I wanted to go back and see what the last thing was that I did.
No worries.
All right, okay. This is the one I actually meant to move and not that one. So I'm going to take that back. That's the one that I wanted to move back. So I'm just going to put him over here. There we go. Sorry about that. All right. It's still same thing. All right.
You okay now?
Let me go back one. All right. That's what I wanted. All right. Where the heck? So I'm. All right. So now I'm faced with the scenario where it's just like, okay, I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna lose a knight, and that's what I didn't want. I thought I had it the other way. So just went to.
Hey, John. Shh.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Keith.
Okay. So, yeah. All right. So let me see exactly what I want to do with this guy. Well, I'm gonna lose tonight anyhow. So I'm gonna threaten his queen. Threaten his queen, and he takes. We asked it. He's gonna take me off, and he's still gonna be in the same spot. No, that's not what I want to do. Oh, there isn't. Okay, if I come over here. If I come in there, I would be threatening his queen, but his knight could take me off and develop at the same time. So it's just like. All right, this is the spot. All right, that's final. And I'm doing that because I had a choice between two bad moves. I mean, I was losing the night anyhow, so it's just what I like to say in the financial industry, we call these things sunk costs. So you just gotta make the best of it, knowing that, you're going to have to, it's going to hurt, but, if you can get anything out of it, just, you do what you can.
Okay.
All right, so the thing that I'm planning to get out of it would be a pawn.
Okay, so we're only going to do about 4 more moves, or actually 2 more moves because we said 12 moves, 10 to 12 moves.
Alright, I would be saying to myself, wow, this guy really just missed a free night, you know? Be like, okay, so how do I take advantage? So I'm looking, how can Keith Love take advantage of this scenario? Well, I have to address this right away because he gave me a free get out of jail card free. So I would move. I can't move him out of there because he'll take my queen. So I would just another bad situation for Keith. He still has a possibility of taking my knight, but can I do something that would make him not want to do that? Or would I just sack the knight, get out of this scenario? Now I'm thinking, if I moved here, he would have a choice, and I don't want to give him any choices, so no choice for you. If I moved here, then I'm lining myself up for nothing. I'm not pinned or anything like that, so why does it say I can move that way?
It doesn't. You drew an arrow. If you
okay.
If you left click on it, it'll show you what you can do.
Alright, so at this point, what does Keith do? What does Keith do? In there. In there. That one's gonna be gone. So, oh, God, I think I left. You still have this guy going here. Alright, you're just not gonna worry about the, I'm going to move my guy out of danger and just see what happens. And that's what I forgot. Queen. Go ahead, take the queen. I earned it.
We can stop here.
All right, good. Thank you. But now you know how I kind of think.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. That was very good, Keith. Thank you very much. John couldn't hold it. He almost had to help you, too.
Sorry. It's okay, John. I know you love me.
All right, excellent.
I'll help you.
All right, so that's that one. Let's do another. I'm going to create a new practice board so we can keep that game as it is. And so it's you and me now, Murph. And it's your turn to think out loud. We're not going to go over Keith's game yet. I want to see the difference. Irv, if you're able to, you weren't here at the beginning, I want you to go next. We're only going to do 10 to 12 moves of an opening, and I need you to think out loud, both sides, all your thoughts. I'm not going to speak at all, so you can speak and think during my time. I've already given Keith the hint that I may make bad moves on purpose. So don't assume, oh, Marty did that. It's a trap. I'm not going to fall for it. Okay? Do your normal thinking. Make believe you're just playing some random stranger online that's about your rating. All right. All right. So, Murph, it is your turn, and you can talk all the way through. Don't forget to speak nice and loud and clear so the chat can hear you.
Okay. I'm going to start with London.
You're supposed to tell us what you're thinking.
I did. I'm starting with my London. So the bishop is the next move on the sequence.
Okay.
No exclamations, Keith.
I didn't say anything.
I thought you went,
That was me.
Oh, okay, good.
Murph.
Okay, good.
Okay. So normally we want the knight here, the other knight here, and the bishop here. That bishop is going to be a bit of a problem to start. Now the good thing is that bishop usually comes down and would try and check the king or pin the knight if the knight comes out. He's fianchetto, so I don't have to worry about that for this game. So we're going to go this way. And then so there's a version of this London where you can take the center if they're giving it to you, which you are. The knight's protecting that square, even if you took it with the bishop. But I'm just going to stay with what I know. We'll open up my bishop.
Yeah, you didn't think much out loud, Murph.
Sorry. And that's why that's not good.
Talk to us, Murphy.
Well, the picture's worth 1,000 words. I don't have to say much.
But whatever thoughts are running through your head, we'd like to hear them.
Well, I'm trying to figure out what we can do with the rook. There's not much I can do to save my rook. And I can't.
Keep thinking out loud, Murph.
Well, he can take mine. I can take his. He can take my rook. I can take. I'm still going to lose because he's queen is protecting his rook. Mine is not. But at least I'll get something back. So do I take the bishop and be down a rook, or do I take the rook and be down a bishop? That's a pretty straight, easy answer. The queen will be wide open there, and he's got that whole diagonal. This is uncharted territory.
Keep talking, Murphy.
Go there. All right, you take it easy, Keith. So we're going to be down a rook. Excuse me, down a bishop. In all likelihood. Yeah. Okay. We'll move the queen out so we can castle. I'm still waiting for you to make one of those bad moves you were talking about. I didn't get that guy.
Oh,
I thought you'd like that.
that was funny. Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. This is why I like these new openings that I'm learning on you and Irv, because you absolutely destroyed them. So I can figure out, okay, we need to work on this. So we've got our castle, which we'll do. Okay. So I'm down a bishop. All in all, not too bad. So now, I take him, he's going to take back, and he's going to take, so I got to move. I can take the pawn and open up the queen, yeah, or move the bishop. They'll just check me with the pawn, so I'll be moving it again. I don't want to be doing that. I think that. Okay.
Gotta think out loud so I can help you later.
Right. We're down a piece, so we really shouldn't be trading. My first thought was to get rid of one of your knights, because I don't like that. But we don't want to. And the only choice I have is either here to go back, or go over here and pin the knight versus the queen. Which is what I'm going to do. because I've got limited places to go with my bishop. And I've opened up his rook is the one problem from doing this. Well, we're back into the corner. So we didn't open his rook. If I left it and let you take, we were going to open up the rook, but now his king doesn't have a really good place to go castle to. So that's somewhat helpful. So now let's see. That bishop is really annoying across the middle of the board. Just get a check in here. Do what I can do with that. Possibly a queen trade. Or not. Well, that's a free pawn with check. I got a free pawn back. We do not want to trade queens. So where are we going with our queen?
All right, and we can stop there.
Okay.
Very good, very good. Hey, Sudakus, we are doing a lesson and we're trying something new where my students speak out loud, and Murph did okay. Keith spoke like nonstop. Very good, Keith. You did really well, Keith. I'll give you the bonus points on that. And then Murph did it, and he gave us some thoughts, and now I'm going to have Irving do it. And I believe these guys are they're close in strength, but they're a little bit different. I think Murph is definitely a little stronger than Keith, and I think Irv is a little stronger than Murph, so I think it'll be interesting, but they might all be in the same range. We'll see. All right, so Irv, it is your turn if you don't mind. If you're available.
I just need to know how to get where we are. Are you?
Okay, it is in the, go to studies you contribute to, and it's the Introduction to Chess Post Rules. Introduction to Chess Post Rules, and if you sync, you'll be at the bottom. So we definitely want you to try using the arrows and the circles when you're talking about squares you want to move to and stuff like that.
I'm here.
All right. You get to go first. I'm not going to talk, and but feel free to draw arrows and stuff. I will give you extra time in between moves, as if I'm thinking really hard, even if I'm not. I don't know if I am. And I already warned you about I might make some bad moves. Murph got on me because I didn't make a bad one early enough.
You might make some good moves too.
Yeah, I might. All right.
Did you see I made my first move?
Yes, I did. But I didn't hear you talk about it.
Oh, well, I wasn't sure you saw it, and I didn't want to interrupt you. You were speaking.
Please, have fun. I'll be quiet.
Oh, no, I'm quiet.
No, I have to be.
Okay. So, E4. Not going to say out loud what I'm planning on playing as far as an opening is concerned, but I figured let me go standard. All right, I see B6 paired to Fianchetto, which would put the pressure onto that very same pawn. But I'm going to develop and anticipate his Fianchetto coming. And if he does, then I will, I'm not going to tell him because he's listening. Anyway, so depending upon his response, I'll answer that. But right now,
So do not worry about trying to beat me. This is all for understanding how you think. So feel free to explain what you're. That's why I said I might even make bad moves on purpose. I'm not going to make a move based on you telling me, well, if he does this, I'm going to do this, and I go, hey, I won't do that. Then I might do it to let you do it. So yeah, please think out loud all the way.
so I'm planning on kingside Fianchettoing and going for essentially King's Indian setup for white. And I'm doing that because I normally don't play this, but it's an opening that I'm going to try and learn. It's kind of a secondary opening. But I really haven't studied it that much to the point where I'm super confident in it. And I wouldn't necessarily play it in an actual tournament of any kind, but just at the beginnings of it. So, and it was recommended by Marty as a good basic opening that we can play. So that's essentially what my plan is at this point in time. I don't know what Black's waiting for, but we can do whatever's ready. All right, so I see this, and I'm still anticipating the Fianchetto, and it looks to me as though Black's will be pushing to E5, is my assumption, at some point later on. So I'm going to go with my King's Indian plan, which would be the Fianchetto, the light square bishop, and then castle. Black's position so far with the pawns that have been advanced fall on the black square, so looks like my white bishop will be my good bishop or his good bishop as well. And there's the pawn move that I was anticipating. I'm going to continue with my opening plan. Nothing that's necessarily in jeopardy at this point in time. So I don't see any immediate threats coming from black. My moves have been essentially all developmental moves, which is one of the things that I liked about the King's Indian. Alright, so pinning the knight to the queen. And of course, what that might cause a problem is if he somehow finds another piece to attack the knight while it's pinned to the queen. You know, the piece that could get there, pawn, would be the G pawn. Right now, the bishop's doing that, so unless he backs up and then starts to march his G pawn down, not overly concerned at this point, because that still would take 3 moves to get that done. So I'm going to continue with my setup plan. If he chooses to take the knight, then I'll just simply take back. Not overly concerned about that at this point. Okay. So it's interesting that he has left the H1 to A8 diagonal, even though he's in shadow initially, or he pushed the B pawn. Shadow. He didn't do the Fianchetto. To be fighting on the point 4. So that looks like there might be a weakness, not now necessarily, but maybe later, along that light square file from H1 to A8 with his rook sitting there. So that could be on later. Knight just got moved to C6. Could go to G4, being protected by pawn, which would therefore be that second piece attacking the knight, my knight, which is on F6. So with knight next move, two pieces. I still have two pieces protecting that knight. So again, not outmanned. I don't know if I'm actually too worried about that right now. So I think I'm going to keep with my developmental plan and fortify the pawn on D4, D3, bring my black dark square bishop. Right. Now, I take. Bishop can take back, or yes, bishop can take back. I'd be trading off my center pawn for the F pawn. If I don't take, continue to develop. What do I have? If I don't take, continue to develop. He takes. F takes E. I reply with D takes E. Opened up his king side a little bit. I do have a threat with a developmental threat, giving me tempo bishop to 5, threatening the queen, developing the bishop. Of course, he could reply blocking with either the bishop or the knight. Then I have to make a decision what I want to do. If I block with the bishop, do I take? Takes back, queen. He doesn't take back, he blocks with the knight. Then I get to continue to develop. Still want to figure out that pawn. Does that make sense? Or the pawn, or if I don't take this pawn on F5, we could advance the pawn, attacking my king side. Attacking my pawn that's on G3. Alright, so let's say I take the pawn. He takes back, assuming he takes back the bishop. That might not necessarily be the case. We may push the pawn on 5 to 4. Again, double up on the knight. Gotta make a move sooner or later. I'm going to sometimes I see things differently after. Interesting. Okay. Let's see. Different ways. I've got two things left. Sooner or later, I want to free that knight, so I want to release the pin. I also want to continue to develop. I could run an arrow. I could pin his E5 pins his knight. I do that if you could pin the knight, of course. Of course, if I pin the knight, then pawn here simply forces me to make a decision with the bishop. I then take. Pawn goes there. Bishop then takes the knight. Reply back with the queen. And then this pawn will be hanging here. So I bring this queen out a little too early. I don't know. I don't like giving up the bishop that early, even though I've already said that's my weak bishop, my bad bishop, because his pawns are on. For his pawn structure is my bad bishop, but for mine right now, my pawns are. I have some on white, some on black. All right, let's try that. Let's see how he likes the pin. Let's see if I can do better than I did. Just want to. I still have a discovered attack on the knight. If and when I ever free that knight, the bishop that's on G2, still staring down that diagonal. I no longer have my pawn blocking me in. So he can still push. He's desperate to try and double up on me. I'm gonna get out of this. All right. The question is, how do we go about this? This is the next move is going to be push the pawn. I take it back. He takes back. So if I don't do anything, I don't know what happened. Wasn't me. Okay. So I pushes. Okay, he takes back. Knight is now in desperate trouble. I lose the knight. Not necessarily. Take queen. He takes back. Knight is free to move. And he can take back with the knight himself. Of course, the knight opens up opportunities this way. Doesn't appear to be the worst of all possibilities. So I feel like I'm not afraid of that pawn push. Right? Pawn. Let's do that again. Try that again. Giving you a scope. Going out. Take something. So let's say I develop. Pawn push threatens. I take. Assuming he takes back with the pawn. Takes back rook. Rook would probably be the best move because he gets the rook out of that game. Rook takes back. This pawn is still sitting here. Knight needs to move. It needs to move someplace. Potentially here, but then that would lose to the other knight if that's not depending on how it takes. Okay. Release the pin or finish development. One of the two. Pick one. I'm going to release the pin. I don't say it's developing, but I'm going to release the pin. So I'm thinking queen here. Releases the pin. Releases the pin. Is that me or you again?
Not me.
Alright. I don't know what
I'm definitely not touching the board.
Okay.
I've got my hands up.
What's going on?
I just fast forwarded to make sure you were at the end.
Okay.
I don't know what else I can tell you.
Queen here. Still can push. Gotta take, takes back. I've still got to move my knight. That might have been home for the night. That could be a problem in and of itself. Knight releasing the pin. I also do want to finish the belly if possible. But for now, I'm going to release the pin. So, okay. A lot of talking. It's only 9 minutes.
Yeah, and I'm pausing to let you talk some more.
Oh, thanks.
I love it. Keep talking.
So no thoughts during this time period?
Oh, I'm sorry. I figured you were ready to go. So I look at right now. I have 2 pieces on the E5 pawn. I have the knight, and I have the queen, and the king is sitting behind it. So I like the alignment of that. I'm assuming pawn push, create a trading opportunity. And of course, the knight would still be holding the last pawn that's there. Means I still have to move that, get this my knight out of the way. And let's see. Interesting. Let's think about this for a second. How many opportunities? He's got 1, 2 pieces. I've got 1, 2. I lose the trades that are there. That's not good. This pawn is still waiting to be taken by this bishop, this free candy. Here, so all the free candy, even though knight's on the rim of him. But so that's the free candy from being taken. Push. This takes the free candy. Finish developing. Develop to the most favorable square. Well, let's see. Well, this pawn here is still. This pawn is still pinned. Because the absolute pin here. Doesn't mean I can take it, just means that it can't take me. 1 and 2 pieces on it now, theoretically, if we could. Could come here. That would give me 3 pieces, but of course all he has to do is castle. But I'd still have 3 pieces on it. Might be able to step in front with a queen, which would put him with a 3rd piece on it as well. And release the absolute pin. This pawn gets a knight, the bishop. So it's finished developing. Put the knight out of the way. Stop the. Sorry. The right click. Put the knight out of the way. But the bishop will just takes the pawn, takes the knight. Take the knight. Might take back the queen, putting a 3rd piece on this pawn. Might take back the pawn, putting a 3rd piece on the pawn, freeing up this diagonal towards my king. Do that. If he does push at this point, pushes, where did my knight go? He pushes it, where's my knight? I don't like going backwards. Where is the knight going? No, mine going back. I'm gonna go here. Let's step back. Question. We'll go to the rim, as I talked about before. Doesn't look like anything can get me there. Looks like it's a silver move. If we push it hard. If I develop here, I go here, and push here. That night. Alright, I think I should have done. Alright, now I'm trying to actually open them all out. As I thought, castles. Let's see. Still has a pretty result. It's got a better result. Still has his own. Let's put the questions to the bishop and see if he wants to stay there. Does he want to take the fruit candy? Want to line the rook with my queen? Does he want to threaten my bishop? Takes the fruit candy. He doubled up on mine. I'm going to double up on this. He's already got plenty of pieces protecting him. And with 2 attacking, he's got 1, 2, 3 protecting. Even though it wasn't the way to move as I kind of initially thought. I wonder if this is one of those bad moves. I take, knight, check. Still in the white state. Check. He's got an answer. He's got a probably answer. He might answer with the check. Stop going backwards. Otherwise,
Are you hitting an? Are you using your roller on your mouse?
yeah, I only have.
Well, if
I
you
don't
use
have
the
right
roller,
and left mouse. I don't have right and left mouse button.
that's probably what your problem is.
I have a Mac. So, all right.
Well, that's a
Check.
problem.
I have a check here. He takes. Take with the pawn, threatening my bishop. Then I have 2 pieces on pre. The bishop in danger, and I have the knight in danger. I feel like I have to answer, and I can't just put another piece in pre. Doesn't make sense. Is there another move with the knight? See one. So then let's put the knight out of danger.
All right, we're on move 13. We should stop now. That's probably far enough. I can tell you some thoughts about what I might have done, but we'll just save that.
Well, I'm seeing that. I'm worried about the knight on d5
Mm-hmm.
not being attacked. It's not being attacked by this knight, and it's only being protected by this pawn.
It's okay. I did make more bad moves for you because Murph reminded me, so I tried to make more bad moves.
You did?
Oh yeah.
I didn't see any of them.
Okay. Yeah, they no. So Mystic Soda says, can't you use the up and down and left and right arrows on your keyboard, but not for drawing arrows? It's really cumbersome to do that. He was trying to draw arrows. All right. So last game. We'll it doesn't matter. Who do you guys want me to play? Because I don't care.
I'm sorry, which one are you going to go over? Is that what you were saying?
No, I'm going to now do the same thing. I'm going to talk throughout my game so you guys can hear my thoughts and we can compare all four.
Oh, okay.
So, who do you want me to play against? Because I want to play somebody that's going to play at least relatively fast.
I'll play. I got nothing to lose.
Yeah, because it doesn't count anyway.
Unless you want to do it, it's up to
No,
you.
no, you're the best choice.
All right.
All right, so let's, I'm going to call this one practice board 4. And I'm not going to, I'm sure I'll go faster, just because I want to give you a semblance of something different. And I'll do white just like you guys did. All right?
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to think or work too hard at it. So I'm going to go with the E4. I want to try something. I like E4. I've played it a lot. I'm probably going to play the Vienna or the Vienna Gambit, depending on what he plays. So, okay, he's going for a French defense. I love the French. I play the French all the time. So we're just going to go with the French. I don't mind it. So we'll play it. So I don't have to think too hard yet. Now I have choices, though. I can do the advanced variation. I can do the knight and see how he likes to play it. I can play the exchange, and I like playing the exchange, especially if I'm playing somebody I think is maybe a little weaker than me, because I figure I know how to play the endgame, even though it's very boring, it looks like, because it should be equal, but I can live with that. All right, so I'm just developing my bishop. I know this opening, so these moves are kind of rote. As long as my opponent doesn't do something adverse, I can just stick to my normal opening line. Now, when I played against them, I was doing moves that I was just doing almost random moves. I was trying to get them out of book. Whatever might have been their book, I was trying to get them out of it, trying to play something that they hopefully had never seen to make them think more out loud. Keith still gets the award for the best out loud thinking. He thought out loud both on my moves and his. Irving thought on his moves, did a lot of calculating, we'll talk about it, but he didn't seem to think during my time. And I thought Murph did a good job of thinking on my time, but he'd forget to talk a lot, and he would just be thinking inside his head. And it is hard thinking out loud while you're playing. Very hard to try to verbalize your thoughts while you're playing. So again, I'm not thinking. I'm waiting for Irv. He's thinking. He said he'd play faster, that he'd be a good choice, but I don't know if that's true because he seems to be taking a lot of
I
time.
didn't know that's what you meant. Play faster.
So I'm gonna pin. Yeah, I'm gonna pin him. Okay, so he breaks the pin. That's okay. I don't mind that. And I am just carrying forth with my normal process of opening for this game. I'm actually glad he did that because the way I like to play the French advance as black, I mean the exchange as black, I'm playing it as white the way I like to play it as black. And when I do that, I like to get this pawn to keep his knight out of this juicy square. Now I could have put my knight here to see if he let me get my knight there, but I decided I didn't do that. So still a target for later, maybe. All right, so now we get into where I feel like now I'm into the opening. I didn't do anything adverse. I'm where I'm used to being. I need to decide where I want to finish off my development, where my queen's going to go, where my pieces are going to go. We're going to start by putting the rook on the alignment with the king. I'm going to delay the knight for a move. Not that I'm going to put him here and let him be taken off and double up my pawns, even though I get a semi-open file. I'd rather go here, but I first want to see if I can get him to castle kingside. If I could have gotten him to castle kingside, I would have been just fine. I would have been a happy camper. It wouldn't have bothered me a bit. But now that he hasn't castled kingside, and he looks like he's trying to castle queenside even, it takes away some of the fun I was looking at, even coming out and trying to trade off the bishop, but only if he had castled so that I can open up his kingside. But since he didn't castle, again, that takes away a little bit of the fun. All right, so I've got options here. Yeah, I think I want to wait till he castles, actually. I want to let him castle now. My knight can now go here because I can get here with tempo, and I don't have to worry about him trading. His queen actually has no squares from this location. This location I don't mind because I have a discovered attack. I do have this alignment still. I like it. Again, I'm not worried about him castling to the other side. So if he takes my bishop, I'm okay with that also. Queen just takes back. I don't feel like that hurts my position any whatsoever. The knight doesn't have any great moves, and you could do this one too. You could go here, threatening me with checks and mates here, so that's one I should pay attention to because he also would be uncovering an attack on my bishop. So I'm going to go here anyway. And he castles anyway. He totally ignores anything I'm doing. He doesn't worry about me. So I don't blame him actually, right? So I can go here attacking the queen. The queen only has this square. I really wish I could do more, though, with making that queen even worse. So I'm thinking about going here and attacking the knight. And after attacking the knight, attacking the queen and getting him back into this position. But still, it's not as juicy as I wanted. Still not as juicy as I wanted. So I'm going to go with, I believe, I'm just going to go with this one and see if I can start chasing the knight and start scaring him on the queen side. No real planning yet. I should be, but I'm going to say I'm not. So I kind of thought he would do this. We looked at it, right? You, me. We said, yeah, this is a good move. It threatens check, not mate. I get to move here. Then he gets to mate me here. And it uncovers an attack on the bishop. So it looks like a double attack where he's attacking my bishop and attacking the pawn. And it is technically a double attack. But I had kind of planned for it because the knight holds the bishop, which hits the queen and protects the pawn. So now if he can't take with the knight, right, I could just take with the bishop. And if he moves the queen out of the way, then I get the knight. So I kind of baited him and was waiting to see if he'd make that mistake. I didn't want to say that one out loud because then he would never fall for that fun. And I wasn't worried about the knight move at any time. I figured I had a chance to do this, and I liked starting an attack on the queen side. Again, if I was spending more time wanting to play a slower, more thinking game, I might have played it differently. I might have taken my time more and looked at it deeper. So I don't know what he's going to plan to do, but I like to start. Whoa. Hello. Somebody's messing with our board. Stop touching it. So, I mean, you could come here to attack my queen. I think I would just take it with the bishop and be up the knight. You could take here, like I said, but then I would just take the queen. Queen's worth more than the knight. If he moves the queen anywhere that I can see, I could just take the knight. So I didn't see any downside for me. Yeah, that's where I'm at still. I still don't see any downside. You could try to put a piece in between, but doing that still doesn't stop the fact that I've stopped this. I still have the knight under attack, and I have the queen under attack. So we also had a double attack as far as double attacks go. All right, so I don't see anything better than winning the queen, right? I've got the queen, the knight. I got to win it. I don't want to waste it. He's got he's going to be able to take back with the queen, but I truly don't see anything better than getting that piece for getting that exchange done. Definitely don't want to bother taking and opening up his rook. Don't need to do that. Could chase the queen, play, it's a fun game, play chase the queen. I could also just drop the bishop back, so then I can move my knight and not worry about his queen having any threats on me. And actually, I kind of like that. It's just the simplest, solid move. I want to move the bishop so then I can free the knight from protecting the bishop. I don't want to move the rook back to protect the bishop because I like the rook on the open file. So I'm just going to drop it here. Now I could drop it here too to protect, but I'm liking it here so that if he had thoughts of other attacks, my bishop's already there kind of keeping him out of the mix. I figure he might try things like this. I'm not overly worried about it. And we'll play, we have plans I think we can do. But I have some ideas if he does this. What I would do definitely, I could take and make him take back with the queen of the pawn. I could have done this because then I uncover the attack and he would have to trade, not have to trade queens, but he might be willing to trade queens. He still has to worry about this alignment on the bishop. Okay, he takes care of the alignment on the bishop because the bishop wasn't actually protected. So he could have had to worry about that situation. All right, so we're going to go here anyway. It's protected by the bishop. It allows me to try to force a trade of queens. I did have to think, and I just now remembered that I was thinking, oh yeah, but what happens if he takes here or here? Can I, my bishop's hanging, but my bishop's not. It's covered by the knight, and if he takes my queen, the rook will come back and protect the bishop, so it's all good. The bishop will be covered. I don't mind these pawns at all because they restrict this bishop and they restrict this knight. This knight doesn't have any squares, so I like the lack of squares for the knight. All right, so I was checking chat, now back to thinking about the game. Okay, he took, I do still like taking on the open file, taking this way. I don't want to give up a chance to fight for the open file. I do have to just be a little bit leery about this, but I think I'm good because I still do have two pieces protecting it, not just one. So it's not like I'm worried about it getting taken in the near run. All right, so at this point, I'm up a whole piece. And only lost a pawn for the piece, so I'm a piece to the good, so that's hard to complain about. Now I don't think I even mind about opening up the rook file. I don't think that's going to be a problem at this point. He has an undefended pawn that I can attack. His rook is going to have to keep the bishop, or he's going to have to move the bishop to, there you go, so he moves the bishop. Now he's got a little bit of a threat, right? Because if he takes my knight and I take back, or if he takes my bishop, well, I could take back with the knight. So he would have to take here first. If I take back, then he could take here, because then if I take here, then he could take here. Now, none of those have to happen in that way because I have the checks in between. So I'm still looking that this pawn is loose. And I want to get as much as I can candy-wise, so I'm going to take the bishop, get that bishop out of the way. I don't mind doubling it. In fact, now I kind of like doubling up his pawns because the only thing he had over me was a pawn up on me, so now he doesn't have a pawn up on me anymore. And now I just have to think about if I take here, he could double up my pawns again. And what do I get for doubling up the pawns? I don't feel like I get enough. I really don't feel like I get enough. So I'm not crazy about doubling up my pawns, although I like getting the pawn. I would rather him take and me take back with the bishop, and then I'd have a bishop. He wouldn't. I can come here and attack his bishop and try to make that happen. So that's a possibility. I don't see any reason to have my, although I get the pawn, I get doubled pawns. I don't feel that good. I can also just trade off because I'm up candy already. So if you're winning material-wise, it doesn't hurt to trade off. He has to take back with the rook, so there's that benefit. Yeah, I'm okay with all that. I'm thinking I'm just going to attack his bishop, get my knight a little bit off the rim. I'm attacking a pawn, but it's protected, and it's not poisoned, but it's not that big of a pawn that I care about. I'd rather get rid of the bishop. If he trades his bishop for my knight, then granted, my knight would not have, still not the greatest position for the knight. But now that he moved the bishop, which is the other choice, if he didn't take, if he moved the bishop, then I should be able to get this pawn. And I like that, because now I win the pawn with tempo. I don't have to worry about doubling up my pawns. I just didn't like doubled up pawns. That bothers me enough that I want to avoid them. And now, conversely, I see that, hey, not only am I got the pawn out of it, but now I have 3 pieces attacking this pawn. So I'm liking that bonus that I didn't even know, didn't even pay attention to that I was going to have. So that's one we'll just chalk up to good luck. Sometimes when you make decent moves, you get lucky and find that your pieces are well coordinated. All right, so he moves the bishop out of the way, allowing trades, also threatening here a little bit. So that gets kind of nervy. I could take with this one, but then I didn't like him chasing my protector knight. So I'm going to take with this knight so I can attack here. And knight's always nice because they protect each other. All right, so just looking over the board, I was looking to see if I was him, if I had any good attacks that I'd be looking for. Attacks the knight, it's okay, it's protected. That's not going to be a large problem at all. I wouldn't mind getting the knight out of there at the right time, but I don't see the right time as being this moment. Would like to kick the bishop, so no, don't really have any place good to kick the bishop, no place good to kick the knight. I could go here with my knight, but then he could just take here, so that, no, he can't take there. So if I could get that check in, he would have to take, I would take back. And I could do all that by chasing the knight. The knight would have to find a home. If the knight comes here, his only scope is going to be this square. And I would be giving his knight a little bit of scope, but at the same time I'd be chasing it away, which allows me again to get in here with a check. Again, but the check is just a check in this case. I don't see that it gets me a lot. So all that's possible, but I don't see much out of it. Not at all. Man, so now I'm not sure what I want to do, because I'm up a piece. I feel comfortable. I'm not worried about anything. So since you're not worried about anything, let's go ahead and get our king towards the center. The other choice in my mind was to push the pawn to just keep coming at the king side. I think this is probably the simplest. Come towards the center and just pause for a moment. Give a hesitation there for a second. All right. Threatening the bishop. If I take back with the pawn, I'd be unhappy with the double pawns, but I could just take back with the rook. So I'm okay with that. I'm kind of fine if he were to even take. But if I take, that gets rid of a piece. It does mean that I have only one piece protecting here, though, so I have to be a little leery. If he comes after it, he could get 2 pieces on my knight. So that's a thought. That's a thought to be reckoned with. I could take here, come at him with my king, then the rook has to go back. I could even go here if it wanted to and have 2 on there. So a lot of ifs, ands, or buts around that. But before I take, I think now I want to kind of chase this knight away. I feel like I want to chase the knight away, because if I take here, I could do that first, take here, and then chase the knight away. And then I can get into the back rank, which, we all want to get to the back rank. That's golden territory. We would love to be on the 7th rank. So I'm really tempted to do that. So we're going to start by taking. I don't see that he has anything better than taking back. I could swing out first, but I think what I want to do is, I don't want to swing out first. I think I want to get him a little bit in movement. So I can chase first, chase second. He still has to move. And then I can get to the 7th. And I don't even have a plan once I get there, to be honest. I have no plan. But it feels good. It feels good. All right. So, well, we're going to chase this one first. Now, he could protect with the pawn, I just realized. He doesn't have to run away. He could just protect. That might, I didn't even think about him protecting. I just thought he would run back. But he could just protect. But I'm okay. I think I'm okay with that. We got to get our rooks more active, and I think this will help me do so. I didn't like attacking the pawn. Oh, and we're only supposed to do the first 12 moves. Okay, so we played enough, Irv. All right, so we got to do 3 different games, which I think were helpful. So we did Keith, Murph, and Irv, and me. And we got to think and listen to how we think differently. So let's see if there's anything that stands out to any of us. But I did take some copious notes when you guys were doing your thinking, just so you know.
Can I make a comment?
Please.
Right off the bat, the one thing that stood out to me is you sounded very confident in what you were doing. The rest of us were sort of figuring out. Irv probably was good too. He knew his opening was what was going on until he got in trouble. But you were like, nothing faces me. I'm good with this. I'm good with that. The rest of us were like, oh. I don't know if that's just experience. I don't know if that's knowing your opening. But
No, good observation. I'm gonna say again, Irv.
I think I played right into an opening we were very comfortable with.
okay.
You did play into
You
the.
were good. You were good until you made he kind of walked you into a trap.
Yeah. Yep.
So C Complex said he wrote down my thoughts.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because I wrote down your guys' thoughts. I wasn't writing down my own. Let's talk about it. But so to that first point, Murph, thank you. That was very, very useful and accurate. I think that's a conglomeration. It's partly because of experience, definitely level of confidence in the opening, and then there's a level of confidence because I had to tell you guys that I'm not going to play as don't worry, you're not playing me, you're just playing somebody. I can't do the opposite with you. I couldn't look at Irving and go, I'm playing, somebody a lot stronger than me. I know I'm playing Irv, so it's harder for me to not have a level of confidence knowing I've played him enough times. So,
Okay.
so I think you're right. I think you're right, though. That is part of it. Also, I was comfortable talking about my moves because I've been streaming for over a year. And I teach. When I teach, I do this sometimes anyway. So again, I think there's a lot of factors why I sounded more confident. But I think confidence, we've talked about, I think confidence is a major key to playing well. But right now, we're just, we're trying to see how we think about the opening different. If I go through Keith's moves just a little bit, I did like that Keith, he actually was trying, I'm not saying you guys didn't, but I didn't hear it. So Keith talked about things. He said, I always make the same first move. He says, I'm clearing a lane for my bishop and my queen. I'm thinking about development early. So I really like that he was remembering development. It was what he's supposed to do in the opening. He's playing one of the center pawns. All of you did. So I'm very happy with all of that. I want to throw something new at him because I didn't want to play e5 because I wanted to see if I can make him think out loud, right? I didn't want him to just say, oh yeah, this is normal. I just move all these. These are my everyday moves. So what I found interesting, Keith, was right away you said that's a bad move because it's not e5. He's not fighting for the center. That's a bad move. And you're like, well, I don't see how to take advantage of it, but I'll just keep going. I'll keep doing my thing. My thinking is I'm going to bring out my knights and protect these pawns. And that was after you actually pushed the next pawn. So it's the only thing I'd want to calibrate for you is that this is not a bad move. It's only a bad move if it does nothing. So I would say this is a bad move. Why? Because it's not a center pawn, right? That's what we teach. It's not a center pawn, and it's not the exception where you're at least freeing your bishop. Now, when I played Irv, he says, I didn't see any bad moves. Irv, you spotted the bad move. I actually pinned your knight after playing this b6 move. And I did it on purpose. I played b6 and then pinned your knight to see if you noticed that I didn't use the fianchetto. So this was a wasted move and a weakening move because I should have put the bishop there. And I want to see if you noticed. You did notice after a couple of moves, but you didn't notice it as soon as it happened. You just saw the pin and worried about the pin. And then later when you had time to think about it, you were like, oh, and he didn't use his fianchetto. Oh, and look, I have this nice long diagonal. So you did notice it. So that was good.
It didn't help though.
Well, it's okay. You did notice it. Again, I wasn't worried about winning or losing this game. I wasn't trying to win, and I didn't. I want you guys to try to win, though, of course. So, Keith, you continue with, what are they doing? You were like, this guy's not playing very well. I don't know what he's doing. And then finally with this one, you were like, okay, now we're playing, and you started calculating at this point. If I take, he takes. I take. Then I can say check, and you work through a lot of calculations, which was fine. But it's funny that you thought it was all bad moves, and then when you finally see a center pawn move, you felt more comfortable. I could tell that you're playing a normal game, but now you're like, oh, there's a chance that there's going to be a fight. So as soon as you saw there was a chance for a fight, you started calculating. But that's okay. So you said things like, I still have free candy, by the way. You were thinking this was free for some reason. You thought it for a long time. You did fix it later. You did say, oh, wait, I don't have free candy because of the queen. But at first, you were, for some reason, thinking this was free candy. So that would be something, of course. Now, that's just miscalculating, right? That's you thinking that you could take and I'm not taking back. And you did notice it again. You did notice it before. I think after your next move, you noticed it here. You said it. You said, oh, I thought of something else. You didn't tell us what that something else was. But you said you have a shot to get a rook. Didn't know how you...
I was still thinking about that. I was still thinking about the oh gosh, my thoughts at the time.
Yeah, I mean, you literally said, I have a shot to get a rook. I'm going to run him out. And I think you said you're going to run out the queen, but for some reason you were thinking you had a shot. So maybe it was like if your queen goes here,